One more segment to go on Seven Rivers Racing here on KQEG TV. We'd like to welcome you on in and appreciate you stopping by Thursday nights and Friday mornings throughout the entire race season. We're going to be going all the way towards the end of October. We're going to be bringing champions on this program, not only from area racetracks, but we're going to try to get as many champions from Oktoberfest race weekend as we can. So make sure you check out KQEGTV.com, and you'll be able to see the entire schedule on there. Big race coming up at the La Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway this weekend. Our first of many champions will be crowned. The first one, the Winterwood Hornets. And as you heard us talk a little while ago, the top three drivers are all tied in points. Then you've got another driver 3 back, another driver 6 back. Mark Bornitz joins us on the program, the number 26 Hornet driver, been out there many years. I've always mentioned, I like mentioning when you come on the track, if it's a Bornitz and it's a pro, there's going to be some speed and there's going to be some problems for the other drivers because you know how to get your way around that quarter-mile track.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I've been doing it for years, so, you know, I got a little more experience than some people, but definitely got a fast car, and I've definitely been around the track enough laps, and I know how to get around it and get around people.
I remember a couple of years ago when you and your brother Steve were out there at the same time. You guys would shudder the field because there's only about maybe 6 cars that would be able to keep up. I mean, John Aaron, the madman, he's got one of the ugliest looking Hornets out there, but that thing is awfully fast and sometimes looks are deceiving. And you guys have just kind of terrorized that field. I mean, you look at how the points championship went down last year. You had 2 guys tied with the points. It went to Jack Litchheim because I think it was whoever had the most feature wins. Took that home. Now we're looking at a possibility of 5 drivers. That's going to kind of excite you when you drive in that class. And you don't see one dominating driver, and then you got the rest of the field.
Oh, absolutely. The way they got it set up at the track with, they start higher in points further back, so the people that are a little bit lower in points have kind of start towards the front. It's a lot easier for them, you know, to catch up points. And I mean, we've been close all year long. I mean, everybody in the top 5 has been within 10 points all year, so it's. And there's been a lot of shuffling. So.
But I've noticed that because of that inverted order by points, you start in the back and the other point leaders start in the back. It doesn't take many laps for you guys to get to the front, and I have noticed that week in and week out.
Tim Murphy does that exceptionally well. Give him 6 or 7 laps, and he almost races like he's an enduro because if he's starting in the back, your goal is to pick as many cars off as you can cleanly. And you're exactly right. Tim Murphy does that exceptionally well this year, and I've seen you do that many times.
Picking off 6 or 7 cars a lap.
Well, it's, you know, you kind of get used to the drivers that you're driving with. You know where you can go. If you know they'll give you a little room or they won't give you a little room, so you know who you got to tuck in behind in the corners and who you can go around in the corners. So you get used to it racing with them all year and know how to get there.
Now talk about the class. I mean, you've been there many, many years, and you've seen how that class has risen. And it's not just like that La Crosse. It's at many tracks. They're the more modern vehicles. You can find them in scrap yards all over the place. You'd have a better chance finding a 1990 Ford Probe than you would a 1982 Monte Carlo. And we're seeing some adjustments at some tracks in body styles. You've got the Gilsters running their the early 2000s Monte Carlos at La Crosse this year. Is this, maybe not only at La Crosse, but at other tracks, is this the future of a division class, is the Hornets?
Absolutely. The Hornets is going to be the future of the entry-level division. No questions asked. It's going to be because you see the guys with the Thunder stocks, they all complain about it. It's hard to find cars. It's hard to find parts. And, I mean, you got to run with stock stuff. So either they're going to have to start allowing racing parts or that class is just going to die because there is a lack of cars.
And then if you look at the class, though, I mean, this is a very good budgeted class for some younger drivers. But when you start talking about using racing parts, of course, there's got to be a price tag along with that. Then you're going to be seeking some additional sponsors, and that may be kind of tough to do. And I think a lot of the drivers I talk to with the Thunderstocks are comfortable in the price range in which they get to race at and have competitive racing as well.
Right, and it's the same with the Hornets too. You know, that's kind of why I'm there where I'm at, is the price to race. You get to have just as much fun.
Oh yeah, and you get as many laps as the Thunderstocks do. Well, it's almost identical. I mean, your heat races and your features are the same exact laps on the quarter-mile track than anybody else gets to race. To me, I think it would be more exciting to race when you've got that many cars. I mean, you guys are talking 20 in the feature. I mean, that's, and if you have to start in the back, that to me would be a lot more exciting racing.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely a lot of fun trying to race up through the cars, and this last race we had 28 cars starting the feature. So
that was cool.
A lot of cars.
I love announcing when there's racing going on over the track. It gets confusing at times.
Yep.
But that is just, when you've got 28 cars out there, that you can't ask for something better than that.
On a short track.
On a short track, and if you're in the grandstands, that is just, that's why everybody sits in one group there, and even the kids will move down to the front row. They want to see all that activity going on.
Oh, everybody in the pits moves over to watch these races,
I see you guys
too.
around the turn 3-4 wall. The wall right there has everybody sitting there.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely wild when you go on. I mean, the more cars you get, the funner it's going to be. Like you said, with Fest coming up with that Outlaws division, I'm going to try and run the 4-cylinder Outlaws. It's just going to be fun to race with as many cars as possible. I mean, when you start in the back, or no matter where you start, just getting through the cars is a lot more fun than running away or having a big gap between cars.
That's why I say sometimes it's like watching an enduro race. I mean, in an enduro race, you can get kind of sloppy out there every now and then. Of course, the Hornets, a bunch of fantastic, good-looking drivers, and a lot that know how to drive that track. But at the same time, I always kind of compare that when you go a 28 class field into an enduro.
Yeah. Now, I have one question for you, Mark. You've been racing on this short track for a long time, and I know you've driven a late model, and I know you had fun doing that in a race. Are you thinking of moving to the big track at any time soon?
Well, I know Al's been talking to me for quite a few years to get me to move up, and I raced Albert's car a couple times now. It was a blast. It really was. The speed difference is just unbelievable, and I'd like to. Plan in the future is, but not really in the near-term plans. Right now, I just built a house last year, so I've been kind of working on that. And so it's kind of we're going to stick down in the lower classes, maybe Thunderstocks. I'm not sure yet, but eventually, yes, I want to move on.
Thunderstock.
Well, before we let Mark go, I know you got some sponsors that have helped you out here, not only this year, but the past couple of seasons to keep you out there to the track.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I want to say thanks to some of these guys that have been with me since I started 10 years ago. Old Man's Garage, Holman Pumping, Olympic Builders, Jeff Baker Repair, and Tim's Delivery. Tim was he passed away here a few weeks ago, and so that was kind of a big hit to his family and our race team. And so hopefully we can keep working with his wife going forward. And I also want to say thanks to my wife. She puts up with a lot of crap with my racing, as do all the racing wives. Say thanks to my dad. He keeps my car on the track. I mean, literally he does. He's the mastermind behind the car and my head mechanic. My mom, she's in the stands, and if anybody's been in the stands, they've heard her. She's very loud.
Oh, yeah.
I also want to say thanks to Karen and Larry Burr, because they're out there every week supporting me and helping me out when they can. So I want to say thanks to them.
And I also got to mention his wife Lindsay has one of the coolest cars that any guy could have his wife own.
Well, we'll maybe talk about that here once we get closer to Fest. Running out of time here. Do want to remind you, OktoberfestRaceWeekend.com is your site for everything to go with the 42nd annual Oktoberfest races coming up. Also check out RockfordSpeedway.com. They've got the 46th annual National Short Track Championships coming up at the end of the month. I'd like to thank Mark Bornitz for stopping by. Big race coming up Saturday night with the Hornet Championship. I can't wait to see that. LacrosseSpeedway.com, more information there. Also, you can check this show out at youtube.com/7riversracing. We're out of time. Mark, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Al Losi for stopping by again. We're going to be here till probably the end of October, doing a lot more of these race shows in between, getting you ready for Oktoberfest Race Weekend. I'm Dan Dykert. Thanks for stopping by. 7 Rivers Racing here on KQEG TV.